Hello everyone, welcome to NeenvIAS. We are discussing the polity previous year questions and theme for today is interstate relations. Let us begin. This is a question from the Prelims 2024. Which one of the following statements is correct as per the Constitution of India? Interstate trade and commerce is a state subject under the state list. Interstate migration is a state subject under the state list. Interstate quarantine is a union subject under the union list. Corporation tax is a state subject under the state list. So when we read the question, we have to think about the source of the question. Now very clearly, it is from the schedule number 7 where the different lists are contained. If we go to the article 246 in the Constitution, it clearly divides the powers of the parliament and the state legislatures and who has the power to make laws regarding what subjects. The article 246 very clearly says that the parliament has the powers to exclusively make laws on the list number 1, that is the union list. The states have the power to make laws on the subjects which are contained in the state list, and both the parliament and the states have the power to make laws on the subjects which are contained in the concurrent list. And in case if there is any conflict between the laws which are made in the concurrent list, the laws made by the parliament will prevail over the state laws. This is the basic idea and the basic background, and it is because of this article and the provisions mentioned here we have the schedule number 7, and the list of all the subjects mentioned is contained in the schedule number 7. So if we go back to the question, how would we able to solve this question in the exam conditions using our prevailing knowledge? We cannot remember all the subjects in all of the lists. So how can we eliminate the options and come out for the answer? Let us look at the question again. Now let us go for the easiest options. If we look at option number D, it says that the corporation tax is a state subject under the state list. If you recall your environment taxation chapter, you know that the income tax and the corporate tax and all the taxes are levied by the central government except the taxes on agriculture and the taxes on levied which are levied by the local authorities. So corporation tax and income tax is definitely levied by the union government. That means it would be contained in the central list and not on the state list. So this option is clearly wrong. But if the question was about the taxes on agriculture, then it would have been the state list. It's a different thing that the state governments don't levy tax on agriculture, but the states do have the power to levy taxes on agriculture, whereas the central government has powers with respect to the income tax and the corporation tax, which is also known as the corporate tax. So option D is eliminated. Now come to option number A. Interstate trade and commerce is a state subject under the state list. Now look at this line, interstate trade and commerce. So very clearly we can understand that this is for the provisions for controlling or regulating the interstate trade, that is the trade between two different states. Now do you think that power will be given to a state government? So this is something the union government or the central government has to control, how the trade should happen between two different states. What should be the rules, goods should be allowed, what should not be allowed, what should be the movement, how are the taxes imposed and collect, who will collect the taxes. All this should be kept with the central government because you are trying to control something which is happening between two different states. So if the state has power, it will try to create some rules which will negatively affect the other state. So in order to restrict that, it will definitely be in the union list. So by that we can say statement number A is wrong. Now look at option B. Option B is also something related to the interstate, that is the interstate migration. Migration is when you move between the states. So who can control this? If again, think from this perspective, if an individual state has the power, it can restrict somebody from entering their state, and it would also violate the fundamental rights of movement the freedom to movement. So do you think the state government will have this power? No. Again, this statement will also be wrong because that power is also with the central government or the union government. Now coming to the option number C. Interstate quarantine is a union subject under the union list. Again, if you see, if people are moving between states, who has the power to restrict them or quarantine them? That again, the power will be there with the central government. So if you see, all of these three are related and they look like they are the powers which are there with the central government. But because the statements had state list, they became the wrong options. And the only option left is option number C. So option C is the correct answer. So this is how you could think in the exam hall and try to reach the answer even if you have the slight idea about the exact provisions. Now let us look at the exact provisions. So if you look at the list number 1, by the way, the list number 1 is the union list, list number 2 is the state list, and list number 3 is the concurrent list. So if you look at the union list, the interstate migration, interstate quarantine, interstate quarantine is by the central government. Also, the taxes on income other than the agriculture income is levied by the central government. And obviously the duties on customs, including the export duties, will be levied by the central government. So if you look at the entry number 85, again very clearly they have mentioned that the corporation tax or the corporate tax will also be levied by the central government. So that is why for this question, option C is the correct answer. Thank you so much.